In an important test case for a group of 9/11 families, a federal judge is now upholding their right to sue Saudi Arabia, home of 15 of the 19 hijackers. The lawsuit alleges that Saudi Arabia had a role in the planning and financing of the September 11th terror attack, something that the kingdom has strongly denied. The lawsuit is the first of its kind since Congress overrode a veto by former President Obama to uphold a law permitting legal action against sponsors of terrorism. I'm joined now by Terry Strada, the national chair for the 9/11 Families and Survivors United for Justice Against Terrorism, whose husband died in 9/11. Terry, it's good to see you again. This has been a long struggle for all of you to get this law passed, to override a presidential veto, and now to win the first test in court. Tell us what happens next.
Well, what happens next is the lawyers will follow the judge's order and begin the discovery process. And that way we will start to learn many more of the missing pieces to the role that the Saudis played in financing and aiding and abetting the hijackers, here in the United States.
Now, as you know, there's a new leader, the Crown Prince. He's now in the United States, Mohammed bin Salman. He is a reformer in terms of gender rules in the kingdom, the economy, but he's also been very tough on opposition, political rivals. He's pursuing a war in Yemen against Iranian interests there. So he's a controversial but a very large figure, but closely allied with this president. President Trump went to Riyadh. It was his first overseas trip, his first big summit. So what do you do facing a very different kind of young Saudi leader?
Well, we're going to do the same thing we've been doing and get them to own up to the responsibility that they have in, financing and aiding and abetting the 9/11 attack. This prince is deflecting. He's blaming everybody and not taking a good look at the nation that he comes from and the responsibility that they have in, having these handlers here in our country, out in California, meeting these hijackers, giving them the financial stability that they needed to live in our country, take their flying lessons, rent their cars, apartments, all of that. And the two gentlemen that we know about in California are just two of them. How many more were here on 9/11 are still here? So I know he's cleaning house in Saudi Arabia. He needs to do some cleaning house here, here in America also.
Do you have concerns about the administration, which is cementing an alliance with Saudi Arabia, more so than with any other of the Middle East figures, of Persian Gulf leaders?
My biggest concern is the Wahhabism of Islam that they've spread across the world and that they continue to spread, and that we need to address that, very seriously, and hoping that, the investigation, that our lawsuit will go forward with this discovery and we learn so many more of the details that they were involved in, that the blinders will come off and we will have a different type of relationship with them, and we will be able to better protect ourselves going forward. I know that we need them strategically. I understand that, but I think that's where it should start and end.
And of course, one of his reforms is to restrain the Wahhabism and the more radically inclined clerics there in Saudi Arabia. That's what he says he is trying to do. Do you have any confidence in that?
Right, that's what he says he's doing over in Saudi Arabia. I want to see him do that here in the United States also. When he owns up to it and realizes how many are in our country, and he either takes them back or he allows us to deal with them, and send them back, then I might start to believe that he's serious about cleaning up, the mess that they have made by spreading this, very, very horrible, form of Islam around the world and here in the United States.
Terry Strada, as always, it's good to see you, and keep in touch about this case as it goes forward in the courts. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming today.
Thanks.
And coming up, the embattled Attorney General Jeff Sessions under pressure. You're watching Angie Mitchell Reports. More on that in a moment.